In this video, I'm going to show you the only training protocol you'll ever need to do again if your goal is to, on one hand, eliminate your pain, tightness, and injury, just feel better in your body, and on another hand, maximize your performance, your athletic qualities, your speed, your power, your strength, and also your muscle mass. I know some of you guys got aesthetic goals. That's completely okay. But if you want to maximize therapeutic effects and also performance based effects, then this one training protocol is for you. You literally don't need anything else. I see my clients do this one training protocol, and without even adjusting their form too much or just not even worrying about programming or nothing like that too specific, they just do this and they see crazy benefits, get so much more aware of their body, their postural imbalances that they've had for years just melt away, their pain goes down significantly, like I'm talking 7 or 8 out of 10 pain to maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 pain in just a couple weeks. This training protocol is really powerful when you do this right and you really tap in. And some of you might have done this before to some degree, but you either didn't stay consistent enough to see the benefits, or you just didn't do it with the specific level of intention that I'm about to show you in this video. And that's why you weren't really able to get the benefits that I'm telling you all my clients are getting by doing this one thing. Now, of course, there's going to be some other principles that are important here, but literally, if you just take this one training protocol and insert it into the activities, into the training in the gym that you're already doing, you can see so many benefits without even necessarily stressing about programming and sets and reps and even specific exercises. Just do full body lifts, do this eccentric isometric protocol, and you'll see a lot of results. Seriously. So without further ado, I'll get into it. First of all, if you don't know what this is, all eccentric isometrics are super slow eccentric. So if I'm doing a lunge, I'm gonna go slow to the bottom, 2, 3, 4, pause 1, 2, 3, and then quick up to the top. Slow eccentric, ISO hold, and then quick but controlled up to the top, explosive, controlled up to the top. And essentially, there's so much research, guys, about how this maximizes muscle growth, how this maximizes strength, how this reduces your risk of injury. I'm not going to get into all that too much. All that stuff is really cool, and it definitely is working as I'm doing this, even with lighter weights. That all that stuff is still coming into play. But what I am going to focus on is the ability for this protocol to increase your proprioception. If you don't know, proprioception is your body's ability to sense itself in space, to sense the positioning of your joints, and all these other sensations that are important for informing yourself how to move based on the situations. The best athletes in the world, LeBron James, Cristiano Ronaldo, Steph Curry, all of them have really, really impeccable proprioceptive abilities. And that's what allows them to be so precise in their craft, make these passes that thread the needle, make these insane shots, be able to do all these things. It's because of their extremely high levels of proprioception. Now, proprioception, the reason why we're able to increase proprioception in this eccentric isometric protocol is because as I'm going down, as I'm stretching and loading my muscles, it's sending a ton of feedback to my nervous system, the spinal cord, the brain, about the positioning of my body. So things like tension, things like even pain, things like compression and decompression, all those things are being signaled to the spinal cord, and then from there the spinal cord, the brain, is going to send messages back telling you how to move. And this is obviously happening on a basis of milliseconds. It's not something that you can actually be conscious of, but it's happening wildly quick. And that's why We need to learn how to tap into the body, how to tap into those proprioceptive abilities, because there's no way that we can just consciously shift our body to have the right form. There's no way, because the brain itself, your mind, is always going to be behind the processing abilities of your body. Your body is going to process movement. It's going to process sensory information from your environment, the loading of the weight, all those things much faster than your mind can ever comprehend. And that's why eccentric isometrics are so key, is because it allows you to tap into that without having to think and overanalyze. It just allows you to come into this position, whether you're doing a lunge or you're doing these front curled squats, whatever it is, it's going to allow you to just do the movement, not worry about too much. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like to have some checkpoints that I'll feel through as I'm moving to kind of guide me a little bit, but you don't have to think too much, and your body will just naturally self-correct itself, because it's impossible to do those eccentric isometrics, hold tension through the whole body, and not have good form. Like, it's just, or at least not improve your form from relative to what it was before. You're going to find that automatically, just because you're now controlling the weight, it's really as simple as that. Just because you're controlling the weight, instead of focusing on getting the weight up as much weight as possible, now you're trying to control as much weight as possible. That alone is going to be an absolute game changer for you. So you're going to do that. You're going to make sure you're locking everything in. And what's going to be really, really critical about this, what you will notice is that as I do this eccentric ISO protocol, I'm going to stay within 90-degree joint angles. So for instance, with this overhead press, I'm locking it in right around 90 degrees, boom, and then up. Slow, 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 lock that in, and then boom. And the only way I go past 90 is if I'm locking it in and then I have to be lax. I have to let go of the tension that I have. And this might be so counterintuitive, because you're seeing all these people on Instagram or in social media online in general telling you that you have to have full range of motion. This is just something you got to feel for yourself. But these 90-degree joint angles are the strongest positions that your body has access to. When you go look at sports, of course, besides some freak things or some like different kinds of weird landings or whatever, maybe extreme sports, you're gonna see 90-degree joint angles. Sprinting, jumping, throwing, all of that occurs in 90-degree joint angles. So that is what I want to mimic when I'm training. And that's what's going to allow you to have that joint stability, to have more mobility if you need it. If you need more than 90 degrees, by training like this, to balance out all the muscles around each of your joints, you're actually, funny enough, you're gonna find that you have increased flexibility, you have increased mobility and ability to essentially enter ranges of motion that you didn't have before, even if you were stretching every single day, even if you were doing all this mobility every single day. That's the crazy thing. My guy Michael Eade is a great example of this. I was working with him. He was doing all these stretching, mobility, length through strength type of programs, and he never really had the flexibility that he wanted. He did some of this work. We really focused on a lot of lower body stuff, of course, upper body too. I focused on the whole body when it comes to everybody. But he really wanted to fix his mechanics through the lower body so that he can get into a nice low stance and be able to move in basketball and defend people the way he wanted to. And he found, after just literally, guys, a couple weeks of doing some slow, strict, eccentric isometric RDLs with a nice tight core, nice tight spine, some squats, some lunges, all with that same protocol, he found he was able to touch his toes without even having stretched for that whole 2 weeks. and the gains only improved as he went through the course of the 12-week coaching program. So that just goes to show you guys that only just because you're going to 90 degrees, that doesn't mean that you're going to be a stiff robot. It's actually going to give you access to more movement possibilities. And the reason why is because you got to consolidate before you expand. First, let's control a smaller range of motion, and then let's go and try and add more range of motion if you still want to, or if you still want to do like the splits or whatever, whatever the case may be, you can add that on after you control a smaller range of motion. But the issue is that people, just like strength and power and all this, people are trying to build mobility and flexibility without the proper base of joint positioning, muscle activation, just muscle balance and connection throughout the whole body. Now, this was a tangent, but it was an important one nonetheless, because that is so key. The 90-degree angles go hand in hand with the eccentric isometrics. Now, what you're gonna find, again, I don't like telling people to force themselves into those 90-degree joint angles, but what I do is show them the right posture, the right spinal positioning, the right joint positioning, and core engagement that's naturally going to lead to the 90-degree joint angles. So this is a bit of a learning curve. I wouldn't expect you to get it the very first time you try it, but after some coaching, what you're gonna see is that you just naturally fall into those joint angles. You naturally will have a stopping point at that 90 degrees, and it'll feel like all your muscles are just evenly tensioned and nicely supporting your joints. It's gonna feel like your muscles, instead of your joints and your soft tissues, your connective tissues rather, are supporting and taking on all the load. That's what it should feel like. That's how you know movement is good, when everything is just balanced, when everything feels evenly dispersed throughout the body, throughout the joint that's operating. If I'm doing the shoulder press, I'm not just trying to activate my delts only, I'm trying to incorporate this whole arm, this whole torso, even down to my feet. I'm really trying to engage everything. That is the key, to have that full body tension. Again, a little bit of a tangent, but understand that the 90-degree joint angles and the eccentric isometrics, and having good tall posture through the spine and locked in core, all of those things go hand in hand, because you're not going to find the 90-degree joint angles if you don't have good posture. It's also going to be harder to have good posture, good mechanics, if you're not doing the eccentric isometrics. So all those three things go hand in hand. And basically, again, if you just apply this to the training that you're already doing, then you're going to see a lot of benefits. Now, what I recommend is that you use the fundamental movement patterns, so squat, lunge, hinge, and then your 4 upper bodies, so vertical push, vertical pull, horizontal push, horizontal pull. You want to use eccentric isometrics in all of those things. And what's cool about this is that you don't have to limit it to just these more slow, static type of exercises in place. You can also now go like, okay, I just did this body weight lunge, or I did this just regular dumbbell lunge. Now let me slow to the bottom, pause at the bottom, and then I'm gonna do a little jump to add in something explosive. You can also use this with your Olympic lifts. If you're big on Olympic lifts, I like to use a lot of dumbbells with my Olympic lifts, but you can use a barbell just the same. You're gonna start at the top, slow, slow, slow to the bottom, hold tension through the whole system, pause, and then boom, you got a snatch. This is super lightweight, so almost flew out of my hand, but yeah, that's the idea. You can apply this to anything, whether you want to increase muscle mass. What you would do is you just maybe increase the reps a little bit, or increase the weight rather, because what you're going to find, actually, now that I say this, you're going to find that when you're using this eccentric isometric protocol, you're really focused on having a nice tall spine. You're really focused on engaging your core maximally, on full body tension. you're not going to need more than 5 reps, maybe 6, 7, maybe. But really what I find is that the better you get at this, the more you lock in good form, the less reps you need. So you don't need to put as much strain on your body to get an intense training stimulus, which is the whole, like, that's the holy grail of being super athletic and saving your body, being really sustainable in your training to basically extend your longevity horizon. So you really want to be able to do that. So that being said, essentially you're just going to tweak a few things based on your goals. So let's say if I want to be really explosive and I don't want to lose weight, I don't want to put on weight, put on muscle, which is actually my goal right now since I'm a high jumper. I'm going to do super light weights. I'm going to still lock in good form, still lock in really good core engagement, whole body engagement, and then I'm just going to be explosive with it. So I can do plate jumps. There's one variation I like where you grab, I'll just show you here. You grab, I like it with plates better because the dumbbells won't hit my side, or the plates won't hit my side rather, but you get into a squat, slow to the bottom, pause, and then boom. And you do that double jump like that. But first you're locking in the good mechanics, the stretch, again, the slingshot with that eccentric, and then that's going to make the jump just happen naturally, just really happen in a really effortless manner, just like a slingshot. So you can do so many different things, whether you want to train for size, you want to train for strength, you want to train for explosive power like I just said. It doesn't matter. You just have to slightly tweak your strategy based on your different goals. But the key is that you're going to be building on the right foundation, because the eccentric isometrics are going to allow you to improve your movement mechanics, improve your posture, iron out any of the movement dysfunctions and imbalances that you have, so that now you're building on this base of no pain, of no little aches and niggles here and there, no tightness. Your body is going to be a connected chain. You're going to be mechanically sound. And then from there, the strength, the power, and all that is going to be so much easier. Actually, without even focusing on training all that stuff, funny enough, you're going to be more athletic simply because your body is now operating more efficiently, more structurally sound. So that all being said, guys, if you want my help specifically to help you program in this way, so that whatever your goals are, whether it's strength, power, size, anything else, and at the same time you want to heal your body in a way that you haven't been able to do with your physio visits, PT visits, your other prehab work, if you want to do both of those things simultaneously and you want my help doing it, just book a call down below. We'll get together, we'll chat, we'll see if it makes sense to work together, and we'll get you in. I'll assess you. We'll put you through the ringer with all the stuff that you're gonna have to learn at first. You're gonna definitely have a little learning curve to get ahead of, but honestly, within a week or two, you're gonna start seeing results. And 99% of the clients we work with, we start seeing really phenomenal results, whether it's the pain being significantly decreased, it's people getting their first dunks in the first couple in the last couple of years, or whatever the case may be. You're gonna see some phenomenal results if you take the time to learn, if you allow us to coach you and we communicate, and you really just are a student of the game. If that sounds like you, then definitely book a call down below. And to everybody else, keep on watching my content, keep on grinding, keep on implementing this stuff, and you're gonna see crazy benefits. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.